Coming up today on the Prosperity Nation podcast.
What is retirement? It's so ingrained in us that we need to save and prepare for retirement. But what about doing it now and knowing where you're headed? Getting to the destination of prosperity and the pathway of prosperity. Well, welcome to the Prosperity Nation podcast. I'm Angie.
And I'm Elise.
And we're glad that you're here with us today. We have an interesting topic today, which is how much is enough? But before we get there, because, there's always and never an answer to that question. What's been going on interesting in your life lately, Elise? I love to bring that topic up.
Yes. Well, actually, Riggs is now fixed.
Oh my gosh. So has he changed?
Kind of, yeah. He's still wild, but I definitely noticed a decrease of certain behaviors that might be PG plus. So I won't talk about that. But he's kind of, that's changed. He's still a psycho, which is fine. I didn't want him to not be, But yeah, they do say it takes a few weeks, 6+ weeks. So it's only been a few. So we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah, me. Well, I just got back from vacation, which is always great. It's nice to actually take a vacation and not work. Yeah, we went up to Yosemite. Oh, first we took a great boat ride out on the San Francisco Bay, which is amazing, perfect weather, and then spent several days up in Yosemite hiking around. And again, beautiful, perfect weather, sunsets, just great to get outside and overdo it. And it was nice to just put the computers down, put all the devices down, and just hang out with family. So it was an awesome trip.
That's great. Yeah, I love Yosemite. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you grew up near there, right?
Near there. Close.
You do you hang out there a lot in the summers? Or
oh, yeah. My family was big outdoors people, so we go camping all the time. I knew the valley just like my own neighborhood. I have like trees I carved my initials in,
No.
Little spots. Yeah. Little spots we go hang out that I thought were private. No one else knew about, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so great. Fun.
Yeah.
Well, it's all about like what we always talk about is, living a great life. Whether you have money, you don't have money, whatever your experiences are, your choices, it's what makes a great life for you, right? And in financial planning, people often come to us with that question of, well, I don't want to run out of money. Do I have enough? Will I have enough? And what's the answer to that, Elise?
Well, what is enough? What does that mean? What are you trying to do with it?
That's right. That's
enough
what I always say.
For what?
Exactly. That's my words.
Yep.
Enough for what? And we always talk about how prosperity is flourishing personally and financially. And so when you're talking about your money, how do you make it go right so that you can flourish as a person and flourish financially? Well, because we don't know how to do that, we're not taught that in school. That's where this question is, well, how much is enough? How much do I need? How much do I need to retire? How much should I have in my savings? All of those questions, it just comes back to enough for what?
Right.
So, when we're talking about that, one of the things that comes up when you're getting closer to retirement, or actually any time in life, is people tend, it's probably a good idea, tend to your needs first, right? Then your wants, then your extras. But if you don't have certainty on how much you need, then how will you ever know that it's okay to spend that money on that dream or to do that next thing or to increase your lifestyle or to take that European vacation or whatever your goals are? How do you know if you can afford to do that without running out of money?
So you're almost saying like people need to establish whatever that baseline is just for their living, like just to survive on a minimal basis. And then they can figure out what to do with the extras.
Right. And that's where it comes to this real taking responsibility for your prosperity also, because in all the years of working with people, one of the hardest things to do is to let go of your current lifestyle in order to step into the thing you really want in life. You really want peace with your family, but you're both working, full-time jobs all the time and you never have that extra time, but you're not willing to move to a state where cost of living might be cheaper so you can do that, right? Now you're talking about conflicting priorities, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's scary to do that, though, I think, too, especially moving or anything. I have someone that's kind of dealing with it's kind of a similar situation right now, moving, and there's an opportunity somewhere else. And it's the unknown. Mm-hmm. It's the unknown. Will they be happier in that? Will they actually be happier in that other place?
Right.
Because where they're at, they're comfortable. Maybe not super happy, but they're comfortable.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about enough for what, then you have to then if you're thinking about it into the future or retiring, then you're thinking, well, am I going to stay here forever? I mean, what if in 10 years I want to move to, Mexico or another state or move closer to my grandkids, or whatever that next phase is. You're trying to plan for the future that could be 50 years away. I think people don't think about that too, that retirement quote. That could be 50 years. Is it really retirement?
But that's true. Especially now people want to retire. I feel like people want to retire earlier and earlier. Like I know people in their 40s who are like getting ready to retire. But the average lifespan keeps increasing. Like I'm taking my life insurance course to get licensed. So I was actually just reading this past week about how the mortality tables that came out in the 80s only went to 100, but they released them in, I think, like 2001, and they actually extended the life expectancy to like 120 now.
Yeah, so 120. That's crazy. Could you imagine living to 120? No. I hope that the 120s are the new 50s.
But that's the thing. It's like, even if you retire at 60 and let's say you live to 100, that's 40 years still.
Yeah.
That's a long, long time.
That's how much you work. Like if you start working, let's say you start working at 20 and you work for 40 years and 60 and then you retire, that's another 50 or 60. That's more time retiring than working. Like that doesn't even make logical sense at all.
Right. So it's like, obviously if people are thinking on living that long, like, yeah, they need to figure out how they're going to pay for it.
Well, but we come back to that idea. We've talked about this before about retirement. What does retire mean? It means give up something and go to something else. So, like, why do we still have this even idea of retirement? Like, it's just a weird idea. It's more of like, let's live and work and retire all at the same time and just do that continuously until we can't do it anymore.
Right. And maybe it might change because, obviously the older you get, your body just can't handle certain things. And maybe you can't do that labor-intensive job that you were doing, but what else can you do?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a fan of the retirement mentality. I think anyone that knows me probably knows that, but I could not imagine myself, quote, like doing the traditional retirement like idea that everyone talks about of like not doing anything, like sitting on your front porch watching the kids running around and yelling at them to get off your lawn or something, like whatever people do. But yeah.
So, enough for what? Then what would you want money for? So, if the old idea of trying to save up for, retirement so that you have enough for what? Enough to basically not outlive your money, because that's what nobody wants to outlive and have no money. They want enough to be able to get by, and still have money or have at least no money when you die, but not before you die. But what are you going to use the money for in between then? Because that's going to help determine how much is enough. Are you going to just sit on the front porch and just downsize your lifestyle and do nothing for 40 years? Or are you going to go live? And, that's where it's like, is it even possible to save up enough for 40 years worth of stuff when you're only talking about working for 40 years or 30 years before retiring? Maybe for the super wealthy for sure. But for the average person, the average American, it's more of like, hey, it's live working and then retiring while you're living so that you're balancing it now throughout the time of your life.
Yeah. And I also think this concept really, like, I think that's the one question with the retire, what do you want type of thing, or, for what? It really challenges people to actually figure out what that is. Yeah. Because like you were saying, is your retirement just sitting around the house and downsizing? Because that's going to be one number. But if, my parents, they retired and all they do is travel now. So it's like, and they are having the time of their life, and they're travel probably half of the year, honestly. It's not expensive luxury traveling, but they've been to I don't know how many countries. And so, if that's the lifestyle someone wants and then they retire, that's obviously going to be a certain amount of money that you need in excess of just being able to pay your mortgage and your utilities and all that other stuff while you're, to pay for just your life. So it's important that people know exactly what they want their life to look like when they retire, because numbers, you could tell them $1 million, but it's like that might get them through 2 years, or it might be more than they need.
Right. And what is it going to take to actually save that $1 million? And if you're already 50 and you're trying to save that $1 million by 55 and you're, making a couple $100,000 a year, chances are it's not going to happen. So, what do you do then? Like it has to come back to what makes you flourish as a person, because really it doesn't matter whether you have the money or not, or that you know exactly where to put your money so that you can still flourish as a person now and later.
Yeah. Well, I think that is actually, I just had a little light bulb moment, it's like, it's funny because it's such a good point. And I want to cuss right now, but I'm trying not to. So I'm hitting my papers just for emphasis sake. But, if you don't know what your lifestyle is like, how the hell do you know how much money you need? And I feel like there's so many people out there who preach a specific number, even with just savings. Like, we need to have 6 months savings, or you should have 50K in the bank at all times. But that could be so dramatically different from one person to another.
Exactly.
50K in the bank might be years for one person, but 2 months for another. So it's like, should focus on not that. It's like totally backwards.
Exactly. That's the whole point, is how much is enough? And because people can't answer that question, I think that's part of why they get afraid to actually go live a life they actually really love and really pursue those dreams and put that 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, whatever it is, into the thing that's going to make you the most happy in life, whether that's writing your next book or donating to charity or buying the yacht or whatever that thing is, because they're so afraid to do that because they might run out of money, or because they don't actually know what they need and they don't know how much leeway can they afford to do that. But also, how much is the cost of regret? I think that's such a big thing, because if you are so worried or you don't do the work to figure that out, and then now you are sitting on your deathbed at 119 or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Then, are you really going to spend 40 years being afraid to go do the thing you really, 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 really love, that's going to bring your heart the most joy, because you're afraid you might run out of money in 20 years or 30 years from now? Not me. I'm not willing to do that.
So we all know I'm a saver, or anyone who listens to this knows that I'm a saver. And I think that's a really good point, because just will save every extra dollar I have will just go into savings. And I'm that person that won't take the trip right now because I need the $3,000, whatever, to put in my savings for future. But I'm totally guilty of not following this, because I don't know what my retirement's going to look like, how much I'll even need. So I might be able to go do the thing now and be able to save, and I'll still be okay. And I think that's I need to do.
Okay, well, sign up for
exactly.
Let's get a discovery call going, Elise, and we're going to put that prosperity plan together for you.
But it's kind of, I don't know. And what's funny is we talk about this all the time, and for some reason, just on this 15 minutes or whatever, I'm like, oh, and it was just. But maybe that would alleviate some of my saving, psychoticness, right? If I actually knew that, I saved this much, I have this money in all these places. You don't need that much to retire, and I might actually be able to go enjoy life now. Honestly, I no joke had that moment while we've been talking.
Well, that's great. Here's another one for you to put another light bulb in: is what is retirement? Because you're saying, well, then I'll have enough to retire. You even said it on autopilot, and I know you don't even believe it, and you said it anyway. It's so ingrained in us that we need to save and prepare for retirement. But what about getting to the destination of prosperity and the pathway of prosperity, right? That doing it now and knowing where you're headed. One of the things that, I'm working with right now with one of our clients is let's define an income stabilization plan so that we can get X number of dollars guaranteed income for the rest of his life, the family's life. Now, we're going to define that. Is that $100,000 a year? Is that $200,000? Is that $500,000? Like whatever that number is, now we know that that's going to be the baseline. Whether they need that much money or not, at least they know what something is that will have certainty for them. And that will include their Social Security, annuities, their pension plans, all of that stuff, and say, okay, whatever savings we need to do now, between now and that time you want to leave your current job, how much is it going to take to build a steady income, guaranteed, not risk, guaranteed. And then everything above and beyond that is the freedom to do everything else. And so now they have an anchor, at least in there. And I think that's why I focus on the income planning with all of our clients, because there's buckets of where the income is going to come from. And if you can see which of those buckets are the money that's coming in that's guaranteed income for life versus the money that's going to be volatile, or you might spend too much and not have it. Every bucket has its own risks and how much potential of running out of that bucket. And if you can see that, then you can ask yourself, are you okay with that for your future? Because that number is going to be very different for everybody too. Mm-hmm. And then you can say, okay, I need to start saving more to put it in those certain buckets.
Yeah.
But other than that, go for it.
Yeah.
Right?
You do have a really good visual actually of those buckets. I actually think that's so great because it shows exactly where your shortfalls are. Shortfalls. I don't know if I said that right, but it shows exactly where you need to like focus on, or maybe to take money from this and put in there or something. But I think that's great. I mean, obviously I need to do that for myself. So I think everyone else needs to also.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I get it. So it's first, we always go back to, you got to know what you want. You have to know what's going to make your life come to life, a life you love. And that's not going to be buying a bunch of stuff. Now, you may think so at first, but it's always going to be those true heartfelt things that you want to leave a legacy about. You want to be a role model for others or your kids or whatnot. And the things that bring you the absolute most joy in living, right? You do that, and then you create a we do it on a one page prosperity plan. So you kind of know, here's what's going to create, this is what I call my prosperity plan. It's Angie's extraordinary life plan. Because I don't want to live ordinary. I want to live extraordinary. So I got to keep check on myself. Well, what would I need to be doing every year, every month, to make my life feel extraordinary for me? It helps put those that channel up, the guideposts, so I know which direction I'm going. And then figure out, well, how much is the baseline money that you need, you need on that plan? And how much do you want to start directing the money exactly into all those other goals? Then that's how you back into how much is enough. How much is enough do you need to earn? How much is enough you need to save? How much is enough you should be spending? All of those questions.
I think that's great.
I could talk about it all day. I guess you and I have some work to do after this podcast.
I have a lot of work to do.
That's right.
No, I think this is great. And I mean, I obviously needed it. So I'm sure, I'm pretty good with money. And, obviously I've been doing this a bit. So I'm sure, other people listening to this will get a lot out of it too. I can't be the only one. I'm just saying.
Well, we'll find out. Speaking of that, let's hear from others, because we want to know, are you more like Elise, where you're a saver? You're more like Angie, like live every moment, because your life is going to end and you got to make sure that you can flourish right now and not delay that hope, for that future dream.
There's no wrong
answer. We want to hear your story.
Just kidding.
That's right. That's right.
But
you can vote. Now we can all vote. Ooh. Like we can place a vote. Those of you who like the Elise lifestyle, the boring, no spend money. No, I'm totally kidding.
It is boring.
Yeah, or Angie's like totally mobile. You can never find where I am, except my cell phone numbers never change. That's the only thing that's never changed. And sometimes I have money and sometimes I don't. Like totally, I think we're on opposite ends of the scale.
We are.
But that's what makes it fun because every person is different.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stress about money. There's a way to plan and make it not stressful. Anyway, I can talk on and on about it. You know that. We want to hear from you.
We do. And if you have any stories, any comments, questions, whatever you want to share with us, which team you're on, if you're Team Angie or Team Elise, definitely let us know. It's stories@prosperitynation.com. Also, go ahead and follow us on social media and like and subscribe to our podcast.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you next time and vote for me.
No, Team Elise.
No, me. Team Angie.
All
See ya.
right, bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Follow us on social media for the latest episodes, updates, and more. Like and subscribe to videos from us on YouTube and find out more at prosperitynation.com. That's it for now. We'll see you next time on the Prosperity Nation podcast.